So, wait lang muna natin yung mga classmates. Good afternoon, Red One. Good afternoon. Okay, so wait lang, is-share muna natin yung link kasi yung iba hindi pa nakakuha ng link. O, kamusta ang merienda ninyo or break ninyo, Red? Tapos na ba ang klase ninyo? What time kayo natapos kanina, Red? Ito yung klase. Okay, this is our link. And good afternoon, Meg. Yan, Razzle Meg channel. Good afternoon. So, kapatid to ni Clean February, si Razzle Meg. Okay. Gutom. O, kaon sa Red. Ay, si Lloyd. Yan, gigutom daw si Lloyd. Anong gigutoman si Lloyd? Okay, anong gigutoman ka, Lloyd? Okay, wa tayo may kaon-kaon, Lloyd. Kaluoy po. No? Kaluoy po, Lloyd. Sige, kaon sa dito, Lloyd, para di ka magutom. What time day mo na human sa inyong klase? Anong gipanggutuman mo? Ha? Sa day mo oras na human sa inyong klase? Anong gipanggutuman? Okay, so, wait. Saan na yung topic? Diet. Di po kami nag-video. Okay. So, wala po kami nag-meet. Yan. Okay, so chill lang dahil chill. So kani si Lloyd, gigutom, ano kay gipanggutom mo ni si Lloyd, no? Grabe. Mayo, sana all sit work lang. Good afternoon, Flynn. Oh, yan, nandyan si Razzle Meg. Nag-appeal og klase. Yan. Sige, tayin muna natin yung mga classmates ninyo, class. Nasaan kaya sila? Okay, nag-diet daw si Lloyd. Maayong hapon. Maayong hapon, sad. Okay, so ano yung sino yung mag-present ngayon sa atin? Sino ang mag-present? Okay, sino yung mag-share ng kanilang um, prepared jokes para mawala ang stress? So after this class, do you have another class? Meron ba kayong another class? Okay, meron ba tayong another classes sa ibang subjects? I think yung iba meron pang wala na daw. Okay. Sige, hintayin mo natin yung mga classmates nyo kasi nandito, mga 20 persons pa lang ang nandito sa ating StreamYard or nandito sa ating live stream. Okay, so our next topic would be collection of other body fluids. Ito yung ating next topic, no? Collection of other body fluids. Okay? Okay, sino yung, sir, wala pa sila Nathan kay wala connection? Ay, as in, so maayo na lang kay naami connection. PLDT fiber ba may red one, no? So anyway, basi dito lang po sa ilang area, no? Hopefully, dili mawala atong connection kay mawala. Mawala po na nga to ang topic. Kay upon checking my schedule class, next week would be your examination, tama? And upon checking class, dapat matapos talaga natin ngayon yung anticoagulant. Okay, sige, apas lang sila. Hello, Zerain. Kamusta ka dyan? Pumasok na si Zerain. Okay. Very good. Pumapasok sila. Oh. Hello, Jabbar. Johara. Ipasok kayo, class, para mas enjoy. No, mas enjoy pag nandito kayo sa front. Mas enjoy. Good afternoon, sir. Okay, Zerain, before we start, Okay, before we start, please gusto kong makita sa inyong lahat ang inyong hashtag RMT ako 2022. Yun. Una-una yun ni Siko, ano? Hashtag RMT ako. Yan, ako 2022. Kasi magiging RMT na tayo by 2022. Ready na si John Kyle sa kanyang presentation. John Kyle, ready na bang imuhang prepared prepared pakulo sa ating mga classmates? Ready na ba John Kyle? Okay. Zurain, can you lead us an opening prayer, Zurain? Pwede bang mag-pray ka muna, Zurain, bago tayo mag-start?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Sige.
Classmates, let us pray in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. Do not bring us to the test, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Amen and amen. Thank you so much, Zurain, for that opening prayer. So, class, let's start, class, no? Sugdan na nato ang atong klase, class. So, yung sequence natin ngayon, class, tapusin ko muna tong ating discussion about blood collection and other methods of collection, no? Other body fluids. Then after that, class, prepared na tayo sa ating next na reporter. After the reporter class is next would be the anticoagulants. Okay? Different types of anticoagulants na ating gagamitin. Kasi class, sana ang gagawin natin, tapusin ko lang natin yung reporter, then after that, next week na yung anticoagulants. But upon checking to my schedule class, yung klase pala natin class is parang maapektuhan next week dahil exam na next week. Okay, yung last na lang natin na klase is Tuesday. Tama? Then Thursday, sa Thursday pa mag-start ang exam ninyo? Paki-comment naman dyan sa ating comment section kung Thursday ba mag-start ang inyong exam. Sige daw. Paki-comment daw class sa inyong comment section kung Thursday ba mag-start ang inyong exam. Kasi class, kung hindi pa Thursday mag-start ang exam ninyo class, pwede natin i-move ang anticoagulant next meeting. Okay, next week na daw. Thursday yung kanilang exam. Thursday and Friday. Okay, class, our schedule sa exam this coming Friday, class, ang ating schedule 8:30 to 10 a.m. Wait lang, i-check ko muna yung schedule natin, class, kasi may schedule na binigay sa amin. Okay, pag chemistry class, clinical chemistry, I'll just check first our schedule kung ano bang binigay sa atin. Wait lang. Sige, wait lang. At yung inyong immunology and serology, may schedule na ba kayo sa exam niyo class? Immunology and serology, meron na ba kayong schedule? Okay. Sige, wait lang ha. Wait lang muna class. Check ko muna class ha. Okay class, our exam, ito class yung schedule natin. Third year, okay, clinical chemistry lecture, 8 to 9:30 a.m. You will be given 1.5 hour, okay? Then after that class, clinical chemistry lab class, 10:30 to 12 p.m. Okay, 10:30 to 12 p.m. Class, after this lecture class or discussion, actually class, no, yung coverage ng exam natin, lahat ng ating mga discuss class, even hindi tayo nag-perform ng laboratory, but mostly class sa laboratory na lumabas class is yung binigay ko sa inyo na mga notes sa laboratory. Just review that notes. Okay? So after our discussion, I will be giving you this presentation. Ibibigay ko sa inyong Moodle later on. Okay? So mamaya ibibigay ko. Okay? So, okay, let's start. I think nasa 30 persons na. Okay, majority of you nandito na. Please inform your classmates, class, ha, na pwede na silang pumasok sa ating klase. Okay? Sige, let's start. Okay? So, class, let's talk about other collection of other body fluids. Okay? Class, pag sinabing collection of other body fluids, ano bang ibig sabihin ng other body fluids? Class, can you give me some example? Yes, Kyla Patricia Aguirre. Sa Friday exam mo po, sir. Yes, sa Friday ang exam natin. Okay? Sa Friday po ang exam natin. Starting 8 in the morning. Yan, 8. Then after that, followed by the laboratory. Okay, so pakisulat naman class sa ating comment section. Ano ba ang iba't ibang uri ng mga other body fluids that we can use in our clinical chemistry laboratory? Ano ba ang other clinical collection, no? Other body fluids na ginagamit natin sa aning clinical laboratory? Yan, sige, may mga nakasagot na class, okay? May nagsagot ng peritoneal fluid, may CSF, merong CSF, meron ding synovial fluid. Yan, we have also amniotic fluid. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so ano ba ang ating uunahin, no? So sige, from the most common na ginagamit natin sa laboratory test ay ang ating CSF. Okay, or your cerebrospinal fluid. Okay? So let's talk about CSF. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng CSF? Alam na, no? Sinabi ko na kanina that your CSF is your cerebrospinal fluid. Saan ba, class? Okay, saan ba kinukuha ang ating cerebrospinal fluid? Sige, class, ano ba ang method of collection pag sinasabing cerebrospinal fluid? Okay, what is the most common method of collection? Pakisulat naman dyan, class, sa ating comment section kung ano ba ang method of our specimen collection using cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, pakisulat now na. Okay, sige. Ano ba ang pinaka-common method na ginagamit? Okay, so I think may nakapagsabi na or nakapagsagot na. Okay, we have so lumbar top or lumbar puncture. Yan, that is the most commonly used method of collection, no? The lumbar puncture. So class, please take note that lumbar puncture, no, must be collected between the third and fourth lumbar vertebrae. Okay, please take note of that. Between the third and fourth lumbar vertebrae or between the fourth and fifth lumbar vertebrae. Pakisulat na lang, class, ha? Pakisulat na lang sa inyong mga notebooks or sa inyong mga sa inyong mga notes. O, ano ba yan? Okay. Most common method of collection is your lumbar puncture between the third and fourth lumbar vertebrae or between the fourth and the fifth lumbar vertebrae. Other methods of collection, class, are your cisternal puncture and lateral cervical puncture. So those are your other methods of collection. The purpose of this collection, class, is to establish diagnosis of infection. Class, what are the other source of infection? Okay, infection, class, just like your bacterial infection, fungal infection, mycobacterial infection, or metabolic or amoebic meningitis. Okay, so those are some infections na pwede nating ma-detect using CSF samples. Malignancy, subarachnoid hemorrhage, and of course, the last but not the least, multiple sclerosis or demyelinating disorders. Okay? So, yan. Okay, so what is the required pressure before collecting? Okay? Plus, please take note that the required pressure, class, before collection is between 90 and 180 mmHg. Volume that can be collected, 20 ml of CSF. Not more than 2 ml, class, can be removed when the pressure is greater than 200 mmHg. Please take note of that. Pag ang ating pressure, class, is 90 to 180 mmHg, we can collect at least 20 ml of CSF. But always remember, pag 200 mmHg, class, no, you cannot collect more than 2 ml because there are sometimes, class, there are some instances, class, na magkakaroon ng shock. Okay? Dahil sa mataas na pressure. Okay? Ano yung pressure? Yung blood pressure. Okay? Yung pressure ng iyong yung ating yung volume pressure ng ating blood in the body. So kung mag-high blood ba, di ba? Kung high blood isa tao, so kay pressure. So just like that. So, dili pud pwede. Okay? So, purpose of CSF or in your vials or tube. Okay? So, class, I have a question. Okay? Di ba, na-discuss na natin a while ago the different types of tubes, tube collection, right? Tama? Okay. So, ngayon, class, pag-uusapan naman natin, class, ang CSF vials or tubes. So, class, ang first na tube, class, saan pa pupunta ang ating first tube? Okay? First stop na nakuha natin na sample from our CSF. Saan ba mapupunta, class? Pakisulat naman dyan sa ating comment section kung saan po ba mapupunta ang ating first tube. Yan, sige. Pakisulat po, now na. Okay, I repeat the question. Saan bang section sa laboratory mapupunta ang first tube? Okay? During lumbar puncture, saan ba mapupunta ang unang tube na makukuha natin na sample from the patient? Okay? So class, always take note that the person, class, who collected that sample is not a medical technologist. Okay, we are the one who assist our physician. Okay, dili pwede, class, ha, magsige lang tagtusok-tusok ug likod sa mga katauhan or sa mga pasyente. Okay, so ang magtusok, anak, class, kay ang mga doctor. Ayan, okay, very good. May mga nakapagsagot na. Okay, so I think yung nauna nating nakasagot ay si Matthew. Yan. Okay, immunology and serology. Tama yan siya, class, no? Partner with clinical chemistry laboratory. Okay, class, the first tube, class, goes to clinical chemistry for glucose and protein analysis or immunology and serology. Okay, don't forget that immunology and serology section. Diyan mapupunta ang first tube natin. Okay? So, class, the second one, class, no, is for your, sige naman, pakisulat naman, class, ang second one natin na sample. Saan ba mapupunta ang second one sample? Sige. Mayroon tayong iba't ibang section sa lab. Meron tayong urinalysis, meron tayong hematology section, meron din tayong clinical bacteriology section. Saan kayang section ang next na tube na pupunta? Okay, so yun, may nakasagot, no? Bacteriology section, class. Okay, so yun, bacteriology. Yan, microbiome, may nagsabing second for hematology. Okay, class? The right answer, class, no? The right answer, class, is bacteriology. Yan. Okay, please don't forget, class, ha? Bacteriology section for your culture and gram staining. Yan, for your culture and gram staining. Please don't forget that the second tube goes to microbiology section. And the last one, but not the least, class, is our hematology for cell counts. Bakit siya ang pinaka-last, class? Because, class, the least likely to be contaminated by a bloody tap at collection. Yan. Kasi, class, alam nyo ba, during blood or during lumbar puncture, class, there are instances, class, na nagkakaroon ng nagkakaroon, class, ng blood, yung term na yan, contamination, rather, yan, blood contamination. Bakit, sir? Bakit nagkakaroon ng blood contamination? Dahil, alam nyo ba, class, na pagtusok pa lang, class, sa dagom, okay, pagtusok pa lang sa syringe, sa imuhang likod, class, automatically, class, naigo na ang atong capillaries or veins, no, at the back of our spinal cord, di ba, namang yung magian ng mga capillaries or mga veins. So, plus, pag yan ang gamitin natin, class, no, na sample sa hematology, so, class, there are some results na abnormal. Kasi, class, normally, our CSF fluid is clear. So, meaning, wala talaga siyang bacteria, wala talaga siyang RBC, no, na makikita. Pero pag gamitin natin yung first stop natin, class, or first tube sample, expect talaga tayo, class, na ang makukuha nating sample ay yung sample na may mga blood. So, meaning, pag yun ang ating gagamitin sa hematology, so alarm yung ating mga doktor or attending physician dahil hindi normal sa inyong CSF fluid ang mayroong red blood cells. Okay? So that is the main reason. Okay? Kasi least contaminated by a bloody tap at a collection. Okay, class. Sige, class. Since na istoryahan na nato ning bloody tap, pakisulat naman, class, sa comment section ang spinal tap. Okay? Pakisulat naman sa ating comment section kung ano yung spinal tap. Yan. Okay, now na. Pakisulat sa ating comment section, class, ang spinal tap. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng spinal tap? Okay? Sige, ano bang ibig sabihin? Hindi, Zerain, hindi pala isulat, okay? Ano yung ibig sabihin ng spinal tap, brother? Sorry for that. Okay, ano bang ibig sabihin ng spinal tap? Okay, ano yung spinal tap, brother? Ano bang ibig sabihin ng spinal tap? Kasi class, yan yung common na mga questions. Okay, so ano ba yung spinal tap natin? Ano bang ibig sabihin ng spinal tap? Yan. Okay, so yun. Okay, so spinal tap, according to Daphne. So this is a removal of fluid from the spine in the lower back through a hollow needle, usually done by a diagnostic purposes. Yun. So that is the method, no? Spinal tap to your lumbar puncture. So or lumbar puncture or spinal tap. Okay? But the best method, class, is your lumbar back puncture. Okay? Sige. Let's move on to our next topic, class, no? Let's move on. Next sample, class, is your urine. Yan. Okay. So, urine. Okay? Mga ihi. Ihi. Okay? So, class, I have a question, class. What is the most or the best or the most concentrated sample, and it has a lower pH caused by a decreased respiration during sleep? Okay, so ano ba ang pinaka-the best na sample na urine sample na the best na gamitin during clinical chemistry na test? Okay, this is the most concentrated and it has a lower pH caused by a decreased respiration during sleep. Okay, so what type of urine collection it is? Okay, sige. Kasi meron tayong mga 24-hour urine collection, di ba? Meron tayong other methods of collecting urine. Yan, sige. May mga nakasagot na ba? Sige, tingnan natin yung mahiwagang. Yan, okay, very good. Okay, the first morning voided urine. That is the best, okay? That is the best sample na pwede natin gamitin sa ating laboratory. Yan, random specimen may be collected at any time. But a first morning voided aliquot is optimal for constituents concentration. And alam nyo ba, class, no, na for every 24-hour collection, the first morning specimen should be discarded. Okay, class, pag tayo, class, ay magkukuha ng sample using 24-hour collection, class, please take note that the first morning, okay, that the first morning urine should be voided. Meaning, hindi yan siya isasali sa ating sample. Okay, sir, kaihiun naman ko kayo, sir. Okay, halimbawa ang doktor, okay, ma'am, please prepare for a 24-hour urine. So, class, alam nyo ba na kayo mismo, medtech, ang mag-instruct sa inyong mga client? Okay? Medtech or nurse. But mostly, class, tayo ang nag-instruct sa kanila. Class, ang first na sabihin niyo, ma'am, ugma, pag mata ni mo, ma'am, pangihi sa ayaw apil salod. O, dili ni mo apil on og salod ang ihi ni mo first thing in the morning. Okay? Dili na siya apilon. Pag 24-hour urine collection. Okay? Plus, upon collection, class, please record the time and collect the succeeding voided for the next 24 hours. Because class over collection occurs if the first morning specimen is included in this routine. Yan, okay? The reason why, kasi class, pag sinali pa natin yung ating sample, okay? Yung sample niya early in the morning, so that is an example of an overall over collection. Yan. Okay? So class, next na naman class, no? We have a 24-hour urine creatinine. The 24-hour urine creatinine class is used to assess the completeness of the specimen. Okay? Plus, sir, what if gagamit kami ng urine to test for glucose? Yan. Okay, class, don't forget to use sodium chloride. Okay? Can be added in a 24-hour urine collection for glucose determinations to inhibit bacterial growth and cell glycolysis. Okay? Don't forget that. To inhibit bacterial growth and cell glycolysis. We have also class pediatric collections require special attention. Bakit with special attention yung ating mga pediatric patient? Okay? Bakit kaya? Sige daw. Kasi class, alam nyo, yung mga bata, wala man na siya alamag, no? Wala na silang kalam-alam kung ano yung ginagawa nila sa kanilang buhay. So malay mo class, yung ihi nila, laglagyan pa nila ng mga stool. So that's it. That's the reason why, no? There must be a need of an special attention, no? Please instruct their mother or their ate or the nurse, no? Na ma'am, please pakitanaw ang bata na to ha, base ang iyang sample nga 24-hour urine collection butangan na niya tain niya. But don't you worry, class, kasi nilalagay naman yan sa refrigerator, yung ihi. Okay? Sige, class. Okay? Mayroon bang mga questions dito? I think wala nang mga questions. Yan, very good. Thank you so much for your participation, class. I really appreciate it. Okay, next class, no? The next sample class to be collected in the laboratory is your synovial fluids. We have pleural fluid, pericardial fluid, and your peritoneal fluids. Yan. Okay, sige. Let's move on to our first fluid, which is your synovial fluid. Plus, I have a question. What do you call a method in collecting a synovial fluid? What do you call a method in collecting a synovial fluid? Okay? Pakisulat naman dyan, class, sa ating comment section kung ano bang tawag sa method sa pagko-collect ng ating synovial fluid. Okay? Pakisulat naman dyan. Now na. Yan. Sige. Yun. Sino kaya ang mauna? No? Sino kaya ang mauna sa kanila? I think, class, this is just a review kasi na-topic na ninyo ito during your sa inyong clinical microscopy. Okay? Alam nyo na to dahil na-topic na ninyo ito during your clinical microscopy. Yan, very good. We have an answer already. The method is called arthrocentesis. Yan, arthrocentesis. Dili na siya arthritis, ha? Dili na siya arthritis. Kaya yung uban, pag-pronounce nila, arthritis. Arthritis daw. Yan, arthritis. Ipang arthritis na. Okay, class, no? Synovial fluid is collected by arthrocentesis, an aspiration of the joint using a syringe moistened with anticoagulant. Okay, class, what is the anticoagulant of choice, no, of your synovial fluid? Pakisulat naman dyan sa ating comment section. Ano ba ang anticoagulant of choice ng ating synovial fluid? Okay, pakisulat naman dyan. Now na. Yan, very good. Okay, ano kaya ang anticoagulant of choice ng ating synovial fluid? Okay, pakisulat now na. Okay, sige. Hintayin natin sila, no? Hintayin natin yung ating mga classmates na makasagot kung ano ba ang anticoagulant of choice ng ating synovial fluid para hindi naman sila, no? Para hindi naman sila magkaroon ng clot. Yan. Okay, sodium heparin daw. Okay, so and EDTA, sige. Ano kaya? Sino pa? Ano kaya ang pinaka-common? Okay, sino kaya ang mas dominant na magsagot dito? Okay, sige. Yan, okay, yun. I-post ko na, okay? So usually class, no? Upon collecting class, you must be moistened the syringe with an anticoagulant of choice, which is your sodium heparin. Okay? Usually, class, 25 units of sodium heparin. Yan, okay. Okay, please correct your answer, class, ha? The correct answer is sodium heparin. Yan. This is the anticoagulant of choice during synovial collection for arthrocentesis. Your synovial fluid, class, differs from the other serous fluid because it contains hyaluronic acid or mucin. It may contain crystals. Okay, the difference of your synovial fluids from other fluids is that it contains crystals. Okay, what are the most commonly seen crystals? Of course, no other than your uric acid crystals. Okay, your uric acid crystals. Plus, I have a question for you, class. I think this is just a review for you. What is the structure or what is the morphology of your uric acid crystals that you can see in your urine? Okay? Unsa bang nawungan ng uric acid crystals? Okay? Sige, paki-check naman dyan, no? Paki-check. And please don't forget, class, ha, the substance hyaluronic acid. Yan lang po ang makikita na substance, no? Isa yan siya, very unique substance na makikita sa ating synovial fluid. And plus, follow-up question ko, class, ano ba ang function ng hyaluronic acid? Ano ba ang function ng inyong hyaluronic acid sa inyong mga tuhod? Sige. Mhm. Okay, sige. Okay, next, no, what is this morphology or the structures of your uric acid crystal? Then the last but not the least question is, what is the function of your hyaluronic acid? Needle-like of the MSU crystals. Rosette wedge shape. Yan. Okay, parang spikes. Okay, class, no? Kasi class, ito yung common na lumalabas sa inyong board exam. Uric acid crystals. Don't forget that, class, ha? Uric acid crystals, class, is the most common crystals na makikita. Yan lang talaga, class, ang pagkakaiba, class, ng ating uric acid crystals, no? Kasi, class, ay, ng other body fluids compared to your to the other body fluids. Kasi, class, ang uric acid crystal, siya lang ay ang yung ating synovial fluid, siya lang naman ang mayroong crystals. Okay? Yun, may mga iba't ibang sagot, no? May mga iba't ibang sagot. Okay? So, lubricant. Yan. Okay, very good. Rosette shapes, ay, okay, ang answer aning lubricant, I think hyaluronic acid na ni siya. Okay? Okay, so class, that's the correct answer, class, no? Is parang pang-lubricant natin diyan. Kung baga asiti pa lang, no, asiti, kailangan natin mag-change oil, o kung may sasakyan kayo, you need to change oil, and then itong ating hyaluronic acid, siya naman yung pang-lubricant natin, no? Para dili po kayo gahi, no? Pang-slide ba, kumbaga. Yan, may mga rosette shells. Yan, okay? So that's the correct answer. I think, no, lahat tayo nakapagsagot na. Yan. Yan. Okay? So, kumbaga, si hyaluronic acid class, siya yung rason bakit malapot or bakit viscous. Okay? The right term is viscous. Yung ating synovial fluid. Class, please take note of this, that sodium heparin is the preferred anticoagulant for your synovial fluid. Please don't forget that. Some hospitals transfer synovial fluid to aerobic and anaerobic blood culture bottle for microbiology culture. Class, yung ibang mga hospitals, class, kinukuhanan ang sample ng ating mga tuhod upang, class, i-detect, class, no, ang cause of inflammation. Bakit? Baka hindi siya normal lang, either bacterial or viral infection siya. So kaya nilalagay nila sa ating blood culture bottle ang ating mga synovial fluid. Yan. Okay. So let's move on to our next topic. The thoracentesis. Okay? Alam niyo ba, class, na ang thoracentesis is a procedure. Okay? It is a surgical procedure to drain fluid or effusion from your thoracic cavity and is helpful in diagnosing inflammation or neoplastic disease in the lungs or your pleura. Yan. The next one is your pericardiocentesis. Pericardiocentesis and peritoneucentesis refers to the collection of fluid from the pericardium or effusion and the peritoneal cavities or ascites, respectively. These cavities normally contain less than 50 ml of fluid. Next, class, pleural fluid is the ultrafiltrate of the blood plasma. Please don't forget this, that your pleural fluid is the ultrafiltrate of your blood plasma. It is formed continuously in your pleural cavity. Yan. Okay? So, class, next, no? Tapos na tayo sa ating other body fluids class. Next class, this is just a review. I think alam nyo na to, no? Kasi this is one of my presentations during the videos na pinakita ko sa inyo, yung ating nice to know questions, okay, about clinical chemistry. Okay, class, there are 10 common errors in the specimen collection. Class, patulong naman class, no? Pakisulat naman class kung ano yung iba't ibang uri or ano yung common errors class na ating napapansin during specimen collection. Okay? So, those errors class are criteria for blood rejection. Okay? Those errors class are criteria for blood rejection. Okay? Sige class, pakisulat naman. Now, Rosette daw. Shapes. Okay, Rosette shapes. Incorrect identification, sabi ni Nicole. No? Nicole. Sabi ni Patricia Nicole. Sana. Incorrect identifications. Wrong anticoagulants to blood ratio. Yan. Mislabeling. No? Oops, sorry, incorrect. Wrong patient samples, quantity. Yan. Okay, so yun. Wrong patient. Ano tong wrong patient? Irwin. I think wrong patient ID. I think ganun siguro yung sagot mo, no? Or iba yung pasyenteng nakunan mo. Parang ganun siguro. Okay, quantity, no? QNS, quantity not sufficient. Wrong anticoagulant tube use, hemolyze sample. Yan, okay, so very good, no? Alam nyo ta talaga kasi nababalik-balik na lang yun yung mga question. Murag na sumudan na mo. Pero class, did you know, na kaning mga question, babalik-balik, only siya ang dapat ninyong malimutan. Okay? Because malapit na ang ating exam. Okay, class. Number 1, class, is mis-ID of your patient. No? Misidentification of your patient. Mislabeling of specimen. Short draws or wrong anticoagulant to blood ratio. Mixing problems or clots. Wrong tubes or wrong anticoagulants. Hemolysis or lipemia. Hemoconcentration from prolonged tourniquet time. Exposure of light or extreme temperature. Improperly timed specimens or delayed delivery to laboratory, and the last but not the least, processing error, incomplete centrifugation, incorrect plug-in, and improper storage. Yun. Those are the 10 common errors in your specimen collection. Okay, so that's the end of our presentation. Palakpak naman dyan, no? Palakpak naman dyan kasi natapos na talaga natin yung ating presentation. Okay, so do you have any questions, class, from our previous topic? Okay, do you have any questions? Okay, kung wala na, class, pakisulat naman dyan, no? Ready na ako? Ready na? Okay, so ready na? Wala na po. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so kung wala na, class, let's proceed to our next topic, which is anticoagulant. Okay, sige, clap. Okay, so virtual clap na lang, no? Palakpakan naman natin yung ating sarili dyan, no? Palakpakan naman natin yung ating sarili para naman, class, no? Dili ta ma-stress. O, asa naman itong effects ng clap dyan? Okay, palakpakan, no? Palakpakan para dili ma-stress. Yun, ready na sila sa ating next reporters. Pero later na lang yung reporters class, no? Let's change na lang class kasi gusto ko talagang matapos tong anticoagulant. Okay, kasi this is very important in your exam. Itong anticoagulant, lalabas talaga itong mga questions na to sa ating exam. Since malapit na yung ating exam class, no? Since malapit na yung ating exam, so we will continue our discussion class. May mga 5 question to 6 na question ang lumalabas dito. Okay, sige. Class, kasi class, next week class, no? Ito kasing anticoagulant class, next week pa sana natin to i-discuss. Pero class, na-realize ko na yung schedule pala is exam na next week. So, next week, our topic would be statistics, okay? We will be reviewing. Okay, so class, do you have any idea about Gaussian curve or standard deviation? Okay? Paki-comment naman dyan sa ating comment section kung may mga idea ba tayo, class, sa ating on how to compute standard deviation or how to plot, no, using the Gaussian curve. Okay, yun, sabi pa ni Matthew, palakpakan. Thank you so much, Matthew, no? Yan, standard deviation lang, sir. Ha, ha, ha. Atik-atik. Ano nga uban lagi ka? Balo lagi daw sila. Medyo slight, oh. At least, no, dili na ko malista no, explain sa inyo. Supposed to be class, kana class, humana na siya during your, I think, PMLS na subject. Kay nakita na ko sa inyong curriculum nga naa na gid mo idea about that. So this is just a review. Okay? So in this topic kasi class, no, dito natin malalaman kung random error, systematic error ba to, no? Ano ba mga errors na makikita natin or ano ba ang errors, no, ng machine. So dito natin malalaman kung random lang ba or systematic error na ba ang nangyayari sa ating machines. Okay? So kung ready na ba tayo? Kung ready na tayo, pakisulat naman dyan, no? Our next topic, which is anticoagulant. Okay? Our next topic would be anticoagulant. Okay? So, Vacutainer tube and anticoagulant. Pakisulat class no, sa ating comment section, Vacutainer tubes and anticoagulants. Sige, okay lang po anticoagulant. Okay lang yan siya. Late ko namang nasabi ang Vacutainer tube. Bakit matagal? Ano bang nangyari dito sa aking presentation? Bakit matagal siya nag-load? Yan, bakit hindi naglo-load yung aking presentation? Anong nangyari? Baka na virusan siguro ni, no? Kaya daghan kayo mga virus karong panahon na. No, alam niyo ba class, no? May narinig ako na in just one day mayroon tayong 29 cases, no, ng ating, alam niyo na yung ating mga viruses diyan na kumakalat sa buong lugar ng Pilipinas. Okay? So don't forget class, no, to wash your hands properly, and kung maiwasan, huwag mo nang lalabas ng tahanan. Monique, o yan Monique, ikaw ba ay lumabalabas sa iyong tahanan pag ikaw ay nag-exercise? Kasi sabi ni Monique no last meeting na si Monique ay nag-exercise ng 12 hours a day. And imagine, during exercise class, no, magkakaroon tayo ng increased ketones. Yan. Okay, sige, magkakaroon tayo ng increased ketones. Bakit hindi nag-share yung aking presentation? Ano ba yun? Yan, okay, murag siya gusto magpa-share. Okay, yan. Nandyan na talaga ang ating anticoagulants. Okay, so class, I think this is just a review on you. Ha, sabaan ay, oy, sabaan daw ko, -10 na niyo. 12 hours, Jude. Oo, of course. Okay, class. Let's talk about anticoagulants. I know do you have already idea about anticoagulants. Kasi class, na-discuss na ninyo ito sa inyong hematology. But for me, no, this is very important for me kasi class, hindi lang hematology ang nag-discuss nito. Tayo din, clinical chemistry. Okay, mapansin ninyo, sama na si Sir Oy nga, laboratory man ni dapat magsige na ng tag-laboratory. Actually, class, please don't, wag kayong mawalan ng pag-asa or wag kayong mawalan ng gana, no, upon listening to my discussion. Kasi class, supposed to be ito, ginagawa lang ng mga assignment reading. So, dahil mahal ko kayong lahat, so gusto ko i-share sa inyo yung aking mga ideas about anticoagulant. Okay? So, kailangan nyo talaga itong matutukan ng pansin dahil during board exam class, mayroong apat lang naman, no? Apat lang naman na question ang lumalabas dito. Either lumalabas sila sa hematology or sa clinical chemistry. At least naman class, no, kahit sa subject lang na clinical chemistry, meron lang naman kayong 4 points na ma-perfect sa anticoagulants. Okay? Sige. Yan. Okay, let's move on na class ha. Let's move on to our first slide, which is anticoagulants. Yan class. As you can observe to our picture class, no, makikita ninyo class na ang ginagamit nila na sample is your Vacutainer holder. Yan, okay? So dili sila nagagamit og syringe like sa atoa. Class, after nakakuha na ta og dugo class, no, after we get some blood samples class from our clients or sa ating patient class, ang gagawin natin class is to centrifuge. Yan. Ito yung mukha class ha, sa mga hindi pa nakakita, okay, ng blood sample in a Vacutainer tube. Ito yung mukha. Yan. Ito yung mukha ng inyong centrifuge blood, no? Na centrifuge na blood. Okay, class question. Ano gani yung standard centrifugal force ng inyong blood. Okay, ano gani yung standard centrifugal force ng inyong blood? Pakisulat naman dyan sa inyong comment section class ha. Baka makalimutan nyo talaga. Ano yung standard centrifugal force ng inyong blood? Okay, sige. Pakisulat naman dyan. Baka kasi ito yung pinaka-importante sa tanan. At ito yung lumalabas ng yan. Standard ha, standard. Okay, kanina lang yun na lesson natin. Okay? Sige, kaninang lesson lang talaga yun. Hindi talaga dapat tayo magkamali dito. Okay, sige. Intellectual guess. Yan, very good. May nakasagot na tayo by Ervin ha. From Davao pa to. Grabe, no? At least, okay lang ba, Ervin, ang connection nato? Tara, Ervin, putol-putol pa bagi hapon ta, dili. Okay? Oh, sorry. Mali. Hindi, 300. Sorry, kulang pala ng 0. Yan, si Yek Yek. Okay. Class, please don't forget, class, ha? 3,000 RCF. Yan. Okay, sorry. Mali da ay Ervin, kulang og 0. Nabuta naman hinuon ko. Yan, 3,000 RCF. Please don't forget that. Bawal po ang masubraan, ha? Greater than 3,000 RCF. There are possibilities, class, na magkakaroon ng hemolytes. Okay? Pag less than 3,000 RCF or 10,000 RCF lang, there are instances, class. Okay? Tingnan nyo muna tong ating picture. Tingnan nyo muna tong ating picture, class, ha? Di ba, class, napansin niyo ito, class? Napansin niyo ito? Meron tayong gel separator. Yan, yung barrier na yan. Pag hindi yan siya 3,000 RCF plus ang mangyayari dyan, yung ating barrier class, itong barrier na ito, class, tingnan nyo ha, hindi ito siya mag-separate. Yan. So, mapansin nyo na, alam din sa itong gel separator. Yan. Okay? Sige. Please don't forget ha, please don't forget that. Then after that, of course, pagkuha nato og dugo, ilabay dayon nato class no atong needle sa proper disposal. As soon as the needle safety device is activated, dispose of entire assembly in a biohazard sharp container. Please don't forget that. Vacuum collection tubes. Okay, we have different tubes ha. Vacuum collection tubes are glass or plastic tubes sealed with a partial vacuum inside by a rubber stopper. So meron glass, meron siyang vacuum. The air pressure inside the tube is negative, less than the normal environment. After inserting the longer needle into the vein, the phlebotomist or medical technologist pushes the tube into the holder so that the shorter needle first the stopper. The difference in pressure between the inside of the tube and the vein causes blood to fill the tube. Okay, so that's the reason why, class, no, pag gumagamit tayo ng Vacutainer tube, freely talaga, class, no, hindi na nato kailangan, class, i-pull the plunger. Unlike sa venipuncture, class, kailangan na to i-pull ang plunger. But during Vacutainer tube, class, the pressure, mayroon na siyang vacuum, class, no, siya na mismo ang tutuha ng dugo sa loob ng yung katawan. O, di ba? The best, no? The best masyado, class. Pag gumagamit tayo, class, ng Vacutainer tube. The tubes are available in various sizes for adults and pediatric phlebotomies. Plus, let's talk about different types of additives. Ano yung additives, no? Pag dinatawag na additives, ito yung nilalagay nila, class, dito sa ating mga tubes. Different blood tests requires different types of blood specimen. Of course, alam natin yun na ang iba't ibang uri ng blood na ginagamit natin sa laboratory, iba't iba ring specimen ang kinakailangan. Okay, so ano yung mga specimen na kailangan? Meron tayong serum, meron tayong saturated plasma, meron tayong EDTA, no, na ginagamit sa laboratory, at iba't ibang uri ng mga test. Okay, iba't ibang uri ng mga additives na ginagamit. Okay, please don't forget that. Most tubes, class, no, have additives called anticoagulants. Yun. Dito na papasok, class, si anticoagulants. Okay, please don't forget ha. Pakisulat, class, ang tawag sa additives na nilalagay sa ating mga tube collections are called anticoagulants. Okay? Pag sinabing anticoagulants, class, these are tubes, no, or these are additives na ginagamit, class, to prevent clotting or coagulation of the blood. Okay? So yun. Yun. Okay? Plastic tubes, class, may have an additive to enhance clotting of the blood. Okay, class, let's start with our first anticoagulants. Okay, after this introduction. Anticoagulants are already in the tubes in the precise amount needed to mix with the amount of blood that will fill the tubes. Don't you worry, class. Don't you worry. Huwag tayong mag-alala. Baka mag-ingon na sila nga, "Hala, sir, ako pa din mag-prepare sa anticoagulant na ako. Sir, ako pa ba ang mag-titrate? Ako pa ba ang mag-mix sa tube?" No worries, class. Kasi ang ating mga anticoagulants ay mayroon na yan silang prepared, no? Meaning naka-prepare na talaga, class, ang mga anticoagulant dyan. Hindi mo na kailangan mag-mix pa. Ang kailangan mo na lang is to get blood from your patients, no? Kukuha na lang tayo, class, ng dugo sa ating mga pasyente. Okay? The color of the stopper on each tube indicates what, if any, anticoagulant the tube contains. That is the reason why ano na pink, violet, color blue, color pink, color black, color gray, color green. Sa pa bang mga color dara, no? Color gold, color yellow. Kasi class, that's the indicator of the anticoagulant kung anong meron dyan sa inyong anticoagulants. And it is important to completely fill each tube so that the proportion of blood to chemical additives is correct. Otherwise, the test results may not be accurate or the specimen will be rejected and will that need to be recollected. So that's the reason why, sir, kailangan ko mag-recollect tayo na hemolyze ng sample. O, di ba? It is also important to thoroughly mix the blood with the additives by gentle inversion. Okay? So later on, class, malalaman natin, class, ha, ang mga inversion time or inversion kung kapila ba i-mix-mix ang imuhang mga tubes. So class, as you can observe sa ating picture, okay, namin na-observe dara class, lain-laing mga color. Na ay green, na ay orange, na ay red, na ay gold, na ay yellow, and na ay red. Okay? So those are different types of anticoagulated tubes. Ang iba walang anticoagulant, plain lang, but with blood activators. Let's talk first about oxalate. Yan, oxalate. Yan, oxalate. Okay, class, no? Reminders lang as you can observe sa aking presentation habang tumatagal, class, marami tayong i-memorize or i-familiarize. Normal lang yan siya, class. Dahil yan kasi yung ating ginagawa sa laboratory. So, wag mahiyang magtanong, class, ha? Kung gutom na kayo dahil sa ating presentation, you can tell me, sir, stop muna, gutom na ako. Charot. Okay, so oxalate class, no? The function of your oxalate is to combine with calcium to form an insoluble salt. Okay? So yan, that is the function of your oxalate. It interferes with sodium, potassium, and most BUN or urease measurements. The concentration class is 1 to 2 mg per dl of your blood. 1 to 2 mg per ml of your blood. Sige. Next class, let's talk about citrate. Citrate. It is combined. It's combined with a calcium in a non-ionized form. Concentration is 3.2 to 3.8 grams per dl. Okay, so 0.105 molar or 0.129 molar in the ratio of 1 part to 9 parts of blood. Okay, please don't forget that, class, ha? 1 is to 9. Okay, 1 is to 9. Okay, the concentration is 3.2 to 3.8 grams per dl. Okay, so class, as you can observe sa ating picture, meron tayong blue top tube dyan. Okay, so nakita na ba tayo ng blue top tube? Okay, putol-putol daw. Okay, so nakita ba tayo, class, ng blue top tube? Nakita ba tayo ng blue top tube? Okay, pag-i-comment naman dyan sa ating comment section ang ating blue top tube. Yan, blue top tube. Okay, kung nakita na, yes. Yan. Okay, yes po. Very good. Sabi pa ni Matthew, sir, stop muna. Pwede ko po kainin muna siya. Sir, sino kayang kainin ni Matthew? Yan. Okay, very good. At least nakita na tayo ng blue top tube, no? Okay, sige. Very good. At least dili na ta ignorante, no? Dili na ta ignorante kung unsa nang blue top tube. Okay, dili ta ignorante anang blue top tube, ha? At least nakakita na ta. The blue bottle is used for hematology tests involving the clotting system, which requires inactivated whole blood for analysis. This contains buffered sodium citrate, which act as a reversal anticoagulant by binding to calcium ions in the blood and subsequently disrupting the clotting cascades. Yan. Okay? So the common test no na ginagamit natin class sa ating laboratory class is your common na ginagamit natin to sa laboratory ang mga test na ito. Coagulation screening including bleeding time for platelet function, the prothrombin time for your PT for extrinsic pathway, activated partial thromboplastin time or APTT, for intrinsic pathway naman, and your thrombin time or TT or fibrinogen assay for the final common pathway. Plus, huwag kayong mawalan ng pag-asa. Mangutana mo, unsa man ang extrinsic pathway, unsa man ang intrinsic, extrinsic, ug ang imong apod yung TT, no? Napod yung TT. O, thrombin time. Unsa man na sila? Plus, ayaw mo kabalaka class kay ma-discuss na ninyo deeply sa inyong hematology. Okay, diri ninyo masabtan ay maode ay nganong mo gamit og anticoagulant kay iya day i-bind si calcium. So unsa ning function ni calcium no sa activation of that something mga pathway. So dyan ninyo malaman class. Huwag kayong mawala ng pag-asa class. I-discuss yan ng maigi no ng inyong hematology teacher. Okay, I think sa hematology 2. So, dapat walay magpabagsak sa hematology 1 ha. Kaya kung mabagsak, gani mo sa hematology 1, patay. Di gud mo kasabot aning ginayaw-yaw nako aning mga APTT. O, di gud mo kitaan ang TT. O, sa mga TT, thrombin time ha, thrombin time. O, walay maglain-lain dara ha. Walay maglain-lain og huna-huna ng mga TT. Sige. Thrombin time ha, TT, thrombin time. O, TT. Sige. Okay, let's move on class ha. Let's move on. Okay, kung nauhaw mo dara or gipang gutom, you can get your food and gawin nyo na lang akong sinihan. O, just imagine na ako yung sinihan ninyo. Okay, nanood tayo ngayon ng Spider-Man. Ang atong bida kay si John Kyle o si Nathan. O, kalaban si Nathan. Bida si John Kyle. O, bahala na mo dara. Okay, so let's move on, no? Let's move on, class. So, D-dimer for thrombosis. Una na po lagi ng D-dimer, sir. Asa man na, sir? Oy, okay, ayaw mo kabala ka, sir. Kasi ma-discuss na inyo sa inyong hematology ng mga D-dimer. Okay. So, INR. Una na po yung INR, sir. Yan. Ayaw kabala ka sa inyong hematology. Ma-discuss na gihapon ninyo. So, dili na nako na i-discuss. I-discuss pa na to ng INR o ka ng mga pathway class. Maabtan tag 24 hours. Di pa na to na mahuman. Yan. Okay? So, those are for monitoring of patients on warfarin. This is also calculated from the prothrombin times. Okay, so next class. Activated partial thromboplastin ratio. For monitoring patients on IV heparin infusion. This is calculated also from the APTT. No? Ngano nag-medtech pa man ko. Uy, nganong na may mga computation gihapon o ana na siya. Mga ma'am observe, wag gyud di mawala ang ato ang mga kuan, mga computation. Naa gyud gihapon ang computation, no? Di gyud mawala, put na lang gyud. Napod tay anti-XA. Tunay anti-X, anti-X, napod tay anti-XA, no? Assay from monitoring patients on high dose low molecular weight heparins like tenzaparin. Yan. Okay, class. Salamat. Thank you so much, class. Nahuman na gyud sa blue. Nagdugo gyud ang akong ilong anang mga ay mga INR, mga intrinsic pathway, extrinsic pathway, nagdugo gyud. Activated partial thromboplastin time. Yan, magdugo-dugo gyud ang ilong ana. Oh, normal lang na siya, nakasabot ko kay wa pa man gi-discuss, di ba? Wa pa man gi-discuss na. So class, no, dapat dili gyud mabagsak ha, dili gyud mabagsak kay hematology 2 mawala na ninyo unsa na siya. Okay, hematology 2 pati na mga leukemia ug anemia dara na ninyo mabalaan tanan ang mga iba't ibang sakit. Okay. So class, let's move on no to our ETTA. Okay, ETTA or ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. Please don't forget the spelling ha. Don't forget the spelling, baka magkamali sa spelling. Gibaliktad-baliktad lang ni teacher ang spelling sa A ug E. It combines with calcium in a process called chelation. Yan. Pakisulat naman dyan sa ating comment section ang chelation. Okay, so pakisulat dyan, class. Pakisulat para hindi makatulog. Kabalo ko katulogon mo karon kay hapon, busog ang tanan sa gikaon. Unsa kayang gikaon, baka nag-unlimited na pud mo karon. Nag-unlimited na sila, sir, kay walay klase ganina. Oh, walay klase daw, kay nakasulpuan lang daw. Oh, yan, chelation process. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, 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 katulugon. Oh, ana lang, bibo-bibo rata ha, why stress-stress. Okay. Chelation, hindi chelation. Okay? Chelation, it chelates calcium. Pag may term na pag may term kayong mabasa na chelation ha, chelates, so unang papasok sa ating una-una, yun ha, unang papasok sa inyong brain ang ating EDTA. Dahil the main function of your EDTA is to chelate calcium. Yan, chelation. Grabe talaga si Clarence, gi-emphasize niya talaga ang chelation. Chelation. Yan, very good Clarence, very good. I think hindi ka talaga katulugon karon no Clarence, hindi ka katulugon kay naka-spelling makagbuo-buo na chelation. Okay? Kani class no, kuan lang kani nga slides ang EDTA daghan kay ni sila tan-awan ninyo unya. No, basi magsakit na pud inyong ilong ani karon. Sige lang pasagdila ng ilong butang ilang og pampers. Ay, di day pampers. Inyohan na lang towel ha. Kay mahal ang pampers karon. Okay. So class, there are two forms of EDTA. We have versin and sequestrin. Question number 1. Saan ba dito si solid at saan ba dito si liquid? Okay? Pakisulat naman dyan sa ating comment section. Now na. Okay, versin, halimbawa, versin, solid, versin, liquid, versin, solid, versin, liquid. O, bahala na mo dara. Versin, solid ba? Versin, liquid. O, kamo na bahala dara. Butang ha, unsang tamang answer. Pakisulat last, no? Uy, katulugon daw si Clarence. Okay, Clarence, pwede ba bang pumasok dito sa ating StreamYard? Pwede ka bang pumasok sa ating StreamYard para magbigay ng ating it's joke time. Yan. Okay, sige. May nakasagot na ba? May nakasagot na ba? Yan, very good. Ang galing-galing naman ng aking mga estudyante. Sir, hinay ang net, sabi ni Clarence Bersin. Okay. Sagot niya. Baka may nagkabaliktad-baliktad ha. Oh, okay. Yun. Yun, very good. Ang galing-galing naman, no? Sabi ni Louie Ginanaw, na Louie Veneracion pala, sorry. Louie Ginanaw at saka Louie Veneracion na pareha na. Okay, sige si Louie Ginanaw na lang kasi siya mananatawag. Okay, according to him, no, versin, oh, all the way from Davao City, ito si Louie Ginanaw, no, grabe, hindi nawalan ng pag-asa kahit malayo, nakikinig pa rin sa atin, no, congratulations sa ating mga malalayong lugar. Nandito si Louie at saka si Erwin, sila yung pinakamalayo natin ng mga classmates. Okay, class, please don't forget, always remember this, that your versin is a liquid EDTA, while your sequestrin naman is your solid. Yun, very good. Or your powder ha, powder. Okay, class concentrations of your EDTA, there must be 1 to 2 mg per ml of blood. Yun. Pag meron kayong 2 ml of blood, dapat class ha, meron tayong 2 to 4 ml of EDTA. Kasi class, nandito ha, sabi niya, dapat ang concentration ng ating EDTA in a 1 ml of blood, there must be a 1 to 2 ml of your EDTA. Yan. Next class, what are the functions of your EDTA? No? Uses niya class, uses pala, hindi function. Ang function niya class is to chelate calcium. Ang uses niya class is for your detection of carcinoembryonic antigen, therapeutic drug monitoring, and of course, your lead testing. Yan. Blood specimens for nucleic acid testing are generally collected into EDTA, anticoagulants, to inhibit enzymes that might break them down. Yan. Okay? So, this is the color of your EDTA ha. Basi wa pa'y nakakita ani sa inyo class. Just imagine na lang ha na ito ang color ng ating EDTA, the lavender top. Yan. Lavender. Though these bottles are generally used for hematology tests, where whole blood is required for analysis. The common tests performed are the following. We have full blood count or complete blood count, CBC, ESR. Yan, pwede gamitin ng ESR dyan, no? Pero yung required talaga is yung ating color black. Okay? Blood film for abnormal cells or malaria parasites. Reticulocytes, your retics counts. Okay? Yung makita natin class sa ating mga newborn. Okay? Itong reticulocytes. Red cell folates, monospate for EBV, Epstein-Barr virus. HbA1c, yan. Ito class magagamit natin sa ating hematology section. Ay, ating clinical chemistry section ha. Kasi class ang HbA1c, ginagamit na siya or gina-perform na siya class sa ating clinical chemistry. Please don't forget that. Para thyroid hormones. Oy, sir, unsa man pud ni sir? Oh. Okay, napod tay pink. O, kinsa ba ang mahilig og pink? Pakisulat dyan sa ating comment section. Kinsa ba ang mahilig og color nga pink? O, sige daw. Isulat daw para sila ang atong ma-remember. Para di na to malimtan ang color pink. O, pag makita na to, ano ba si Ian? Ian, no? Si Ian, si Ian dari no. Si Kuan dai si Nathan gusto niya og pink. Si Gypsy, sir. Yan. Si Gypsy daw, no? Si Gypsy. Yan, si Gypsy. Sabi ni Gypsy, oh, si Matthew, si Maki. Okay, sabi nila, sila daw. Okay, so don't forget ha, kay Maki, si Matthew, mga color pink na sila. Pati po si Sir Ses, oy. Sir Ses, favorite ko din yung pink. Pero class, alam nyo ba class, no, na ang color pink class, yan yung kulay ng mga astig na lalaki. Oh, astig na lalaki. Okay. Romar, mahilig ga og gaping-pink. Uy, unsa man ning gaping-pink nga ginamin ni Clarence? Clarence, i-share daw sa mga Clarence ba unsa man ang gaping-pink nga paborito ni Romar? Oh, yan. Okay, ano kaya ang color pink? Oh? Si Rodney din. Oy, si Rodney. Yan. Mahilig din pala ng pink si Rodney. Okay? Yan. Pink na rosas. Oh, pink na rosas, sabi ni Matthew. O yun, speaking of pink, ano gani ang gauge, no? Ano gani ang number of gauge, class? Pag color pink, yung ating color ng needle, needle bore. Okay, so ano gani yun? Ano gani yun? Pag color pink ang kuan, anong gauge ng needle natin pag color pink ang bore? Sige. Unsa di ay ang pink pink Romar? O sabi pa ni Sir Ses, unsa daw ang pink pink Romar? O sige na, iingon na dayon na dara Romar kung unsa man ang pink pink. Oh, sige na. Yan, very good. Sabi ni Ervin at saka ni City, 18. O, di ba? Pag magdibo si City, 18 years old, magpink-pink ang nawong kay handaan sa iyang mama. Unya, makitaan dayon si Crush kay i-dance man siya. O, di ba? Patricia Nicole. O, di ba? During your debut, imong crush nakigsayaw nimo. Di ba? O, di ba? Gaping-pink gud ang imong nawong. O, sige. O, dili kalimtan ang 18 ha. Ang 18 ha, gaping-pink ang nawong ni kuan. Katawa si John Kyle. Gaping-pink. Gaping-pink. Yan. Okay, gaping-pink ang nawong ni Sir Ses. Ay, Sir Ses. Na hinuon ni kuan ni Patricia o ni kuan sa ni Zoraine. Sige. So, I think murag 18 naman jud mo ni agi man gid mo dibo, di ba? Ngi ha wala man good sir. Ay wala day ka kaagi og ana. O sige, delete na lang. Bayot ako last dance. Ano mo si Nicole, bayot daw iyang last dance. Basi ka tong bayot, crush nimo. Oh, damay civilian. Ah, dili din mo to crush Patricia. Oh, sige na lang, pasagdi na lang. Pero Patricia, gaping-pink pod imong nawong ato Patricia pag sayaw-sayaw nimo. Sige. Wa daw gaping-pink, damay daw ang civilian, sabi ni Zerain. Okay, let's move on ha. At class, ginagawa ko lang yung class ha. Para ma-enjoy kayo, para mawala yung antok ninyo. It's break time naman dyan do, oy, grabe. Sige na, oy, magkunyo-kunyo na lang tayo dito, oy, no, di ba? So this tube class also contains class anticoagulant na EDTA. So kasi class, my question, sir, ano naman yung mga color pink, color violet? Oh, di same lang gihapon na sila, no? Di same, pero sir, wala lagi na dito sa order of draw nga imong gi-share last time, oh. Kasi class, yung order of draw nga gi-share ko last time, yan yung standard. Okay, yan yung mga common na ginagamit. So, itong mga pink-pink class, ito yung mga special na mga tubes. Okay? Kasi class, no, um, ginagamit ito class during transfusion laboratory. Ito on, yung naka-highlight ko ha, na-highlight ko ha. Whole blood samples being sent to transfusion laboratory. Yan. This tube also contains the anticoagulant EDTA. Meron siyang anticoagulant na EDTA. Okay, please don't forget that class. Okay, that these test tubes also contains the anticoagulant na EDTA. The common test, no? Group and save, cross-matching, direct Coombs test, no? Also known as direct anticoagulant test for autoimmune hematology. Okay, class. Thank you so much. Tapos na tayo sa color pink. Color pink. Tapos na tayo sa color pink. Sabi naman ni Zerain, sabi niya, sabi ni si Papa first dance, bayot last. Barkada rami ato sir, dili mi talo. Haha. Sabi ni Sir Rain, wa koy ka dance kay wa man mi dibu. Okay, bawal pala sa inyo ang dibu. Sorry, Sir Rain ha, sorry. Ako ay nagkamali. Sino ba dito sa inyo yung may mga last dance, yung mga sayaw-sayaw? Sir, excuse ka dali. Yes, of course, City. Just go wherever you go. Okay lang yan, no? Okay lang yan. Basta babalik ka pa rin. Okay. Dili, Sir Gasto. Yes, praktikalan na lang, di ba? Okay. Sige, class. Fluoride glass, no? Fluoride. Okay, pag-usapan natin yung fluoride. Okay? Ano naman yung fluoride? It forms weakly dissociates calcium components. Interfere with sodium, potassium, and most PU and urease system. Concentration 10 mg per dl of blood. Yeah. Okay, sige, class. Next naman, class, no, is ang ating color green, which is heparin. Your heparin class, your color green or heparin, it acts as antithrombin and antithromboplasmin, anti-factor X, ideal universal anticoagulants. Class, ayaw mo ka-worry. Okay? Huwag mag-alala. Sabi pa nila sa generic pharmacy, huwag mahiyang magtanong. Yan. Okay? May right mid ba nito? So class, pag abot ninyo hematology class, ha? Pag abot ninyo hematology, pangutan-a dayon ninyo, ha? Ay, okay. Sir, brown out daw ila sir says. Free data lang siya. Okay, sige, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Okay lang yan, mga kapatid, mga kaibigan, kapamilya. Okay? Okay lang yung brown out na yan. Walang problema yan. Balikan lang nila ito sa ating live stream mamaya. Okay. So, yan. Okay? Grabe kahangin dari, oh. Grabe kahangin. Murag bagyo siguro. Hangin kayo sa kunan. Sige. Okay, class? Alam nyo ba, class, itong mga factor nito, itong mga factor antithromboplasmin, anti-factor X, ideal, these are topics, class, na madidiscuss ninyo sa inyong hematology. Okay? Huwag kayong mag-alala, class, kasi yung ating mga factor na yan ay madidiscuss yan sa ating hematology. Okay? Sige, class, let's move on, class, ha? Class, always remember that the ideal universal anticoagulant is heparin. Yan. Heparin. Don't forget, pakisulat naman dyan sa ating comment section ang word na heparin. Heparin is the universal anticoagulants. Okay, pakisulat sa comment section now na class para hindi makalimutan ang heparin. Okay, baka lumabas sa ating exam, no? Sa ating mga quizzes. Okay, baka lumabas yan na ang universal. Meaning, pag universal, ito yung pangkalahatan, worldwide talaga, in the universe, sa lahat ng sa buong mundo. Ang universal na ginagamit na anticoagulant is heparin. It accelerates the action of antithrombin. 3. Neutralizing thrombin and prevent the formation of fibrin. It is also available in sodium, lithium, potassium, and ammonium salts. Okay? And of course, class, the concentration, okay? Yung concentration ng ating heparin class is 0.2 mg per ml of blood. Okay, 0.2 mg/ml of blood. That is the concentration of your heparin. Okay, sige class. Okay, sige. Sige class, mag-break tayo. Mamaya na class ha. Mamaya na tayo mag-break. Tapusin ko muna itong ating mga previous topic. Okay? Mga after 30 slides, pwede na tayo mag-break. Okay? Sige. Hintayin lang muna natin yung iba. Sige. Okay, let's move on. Plus, yung lithium heparin natin, class, no, may be used also for most chemistry tests except for lithium and folate levels. Okay? Si class, remind me class ha, by mga 3:45 or 3:50, mag-break tayo. Isahan na lang natin yung break para taas-taas ang break ninyo ha. Sige. Kasi baka yung iba nagugutom na. Heparin, universal anticoagulant. Yan, very good. Alam nyo class, no? Um, ginagawa ko yung pagsusulat diyan, no, sa inyong comment section para naman hindi nyo makalimutan. Okay? Para hindi nyo makalimutan. Okay? Don't forget that. Okay? Sige. Para di nyo malimutan na, no? Basi manggawa sa exam, sisihon ko. Ngano nabagsak man ka, nga summer class lang man na inyong clinical chemistry. Wa man guna gitudlo ni Sir Alfred, ma'am. Okay? During time na among pagkuan, wag yun na gitudlo pa. Mo ba na usayang rason? Sa isa ka estudyante nga nabagsak, wa daw gitudlo. Di ba? Okay. Heparin class or mucoitin or polysulfuric acid. Sodium heparin is the injectable form used for anticoagulant therapy. Please don't forget that class ha, that your sodium heparin is the injectable form used for anticoagulant therapy. Uses class NH3, carboxyhemoglobin, plasma hemoglobin, pH, and blood gases. We have also cytogenetic studies or sterile tubes for your sterile tubes. Lithium heparin class, just like your glucose, BUN, ionized calcium, electrolyte studies, and creatinine. Yan. Sige, lithium heparin, ginagamit to class ha. Okay, class, yan yung color ng ating tube class ha. We have also the dark green one. Okay, this is less commonly used bottle. This is used in biochemistry test, which requires heparinized plasma or whole blood for analysis. This contains sodium heparin, which act as your anticoagulants. The common test used in heparin, we use heparin test to test the ammonia, insulin, okay? Ammonia, insulin, ano pa? Renin and aldosterone. We have also, yan, okay, yan. Renin and aldosterone. Another form pala class is the light green one. Okay, meron tayong light green one. This is a rare species of bottle, but this is used for biochemistry test requiring separated heparinized plasma. Hindi ako nakita nito class sa laboratory, but nakita ako sa yung mga yung sa mga dermatology ward, yung sa mga skin, okay? Yung sa mga skins. Kasi ito yung ginagamit nila ng mga tubes, okay? Sige. This bottle is known as the plasma separator tube. So meron siyang separator gel. It contains lithium heparin, which act as an anticoagulant, and a plasma separator gel similar to the use of your yellow bottle, which act as to separate out the plasma layer. Yan. Okay? So the common test na ginagamit class, it can be used for routine biochemistry, but most hospitals seems to use the yellow bottle for this. Yan. Diba? Common yung ginagamit sa hospital kaya ang yellow or orange one. It can also be used for blood ethanol provided the sample is not for legal purposes. Okay? For ethanol testing. Don't forget the benzalkonium chloride ang ginagamit natin to disinfect. Yan, ito class yung sinasabi ko class, the yellow one or the gold top tube. Itong tube na to class, no, ito yung common na ginagamit natin sa laboratory. These bottles are used for a huge variety of tests requiring separate serum for analysis, including biochemistry, endocrine, oncology, toxicology, microbio, and of course, immunology. This tube also known class, no? This tube also known as your SST or your serum separating tube. Okay? Yan, meron siyang gel, no, na mag-separate. I think nakita na ba kayo nito class? Pa-comment down below class, no, sa ating comment section kung nakita na ba kayo ng ganyan na tube. Okay, nakita na ba? Pakisulat lang, nakakita na. Kung wala pa, ay kung nakita na, kung wala, o di wala pa. It contains two agents, class. We have silica particles and serum separating gels. Silica particles, class, and serum separating gels. Your silica particles, class, work to activate clotting and cause the blood cells to clump together. Meaning, class, this is the activating factor or the clotting factor of your tube, your silica particles. Yan. Ano naman, class, ang common test na ginagamitan ng ating gel, ng ating gold? The common test that golds use, no, is for biochemistry test. Those are tests, no, that you will be encounter most commonly, no, in your laboratory. Urea and electrolytes, yan, includes urea, creatinine, sodium, and potassium. C-reactive protein, class, for your immunology and serology section. Liver function test, class, this includes ALT, AST, TGT, total protein, and albumin. Amylase assays, and bone profile, no, this includes calcium, phosphate, ALT, and albumin. Magnesium assays, iron studies, lipid profiles, yun. Thyroid function test. Uy, sir, nagdugot na gid akong dalunggan. Di tayong dalunggan. Akong ilong, sir, hindi dagan kay memorize sir. Ay, normal lang yun na sa mga medtech, daghan mo memorize. Oh, vitamins, example, vitamin B12. So, daghan na nagyud sir na pa troponin apil. Oo, apil pa troponins ani ha. This requires two samples to be taken at different times to assess the acute trends. Creatinine kinase, urates, serum osmolarity, endocrinology class, tumor markers, o di ba dahan kay gamit ang ato ang gold. Toxicology for ethanol, cannabis, opiates, benzodiazepine, other drugs, example cocaine, amphetamines. Drug levels, paracetamol, salicylates, and others. Microbiology and or virology, pwede din natin ito gamitin. And of course, immunology. Kaya class, no, magkansin ninyo sa laboratory, ang tube na common class kay ang atong gold top or yellow top tubes. And of course, we have also EDTA and heparin. Kana lang yun, tulo lang dito buot ang color ng mga tube sa lab. Next class is your gray one. Yung gray one class, no, color gray, the gray bottle is only used for two tests. So compared to the yellow one, it's fairly easy to remember. It is used class for biochemistry tests requiring whole blood for analysis. This contains two main agents. Sodium fluoride acts as anti-glycolytic agent. Yan. Okay? So yan yun siya. Potassium oxalate class acts as an anticoagulant. Okay? So yan yung mga content ng ating gray cup. Okay? Or gray one. Abot yung color gray ba na? Abot pag-search man good na color gray mo, ng color gray. Okay. So, common test na gina-perform for glucose. Pabalik-balik na lang din yung glucose and lactate. Lactate class ha, ito yung, yung test na hindi kailangan ng tourniquet. Okay, dili dapat duot ang tourniquet. Red tube class, pinaka-common. No? The red bottle tube is less common. Less common pero muning common yung ginagamit usahay. No? Kung wala nagyud pa yellow tube. It is used for biochemistry test requiring serum which might be adversely affected by the separator gel used in the yellow bottle. This contains silica particles which act as clot activator. Pero class, may iba naman class na wala talagang silica particles class. No? Walang silica particles ang ating tube. Common test class na pini-perform class using that tube class. No? So, common test na gina-perform using that tube is this is the use of this bottle varies greatly. Some hospitals use it for many sensitive tests, including hormones, toxicology, drug level, bacterial, and viral serology and antibodies. Whereas others seems to only use it for a few very specific purpose and use the yellow bottle for most things. Some hospitals definitely use it for ionized calcium, but not much else. Important notes class, please don't forget. Your Troop I class uses serum sample. Please don't forget, Troop I. Your Trop I or troponin I uses serum sample. Okay? While your Troop T naman class gumagamit ng heparinized plasma. Okay? Heparinized plasma. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. EDTA, no, under filling blood collection tubes, can affect your RBC morphology and lipids in EDTA tubes and binding of electrolytes and troponin to heparin in some plasma tubes. Excess citrates in plasma from insufficient blood volume leads to falsely elevated clotting times. Heparin class ng heparin is the poor choice for nucleic acid testing because it can co-extracted with DNA and inhibits DNA polymerase chain reactions. Gray top class can also be used for lactate and alcohol determinations. Respinning the gel tubes can cause increased potassium. Class, of course, bawal class ha, i-centrifuge balik. Once nga centrifuge, dili na pwede i-centrifuge class unless because class, no, because magkaroon ng increased potassium due to cell lysis or hemolysis. For microcollection tube, lithium and ammonium salts of heparin are the preferred anticoagulants. Polypropylene class is used in the several tube designs, including specimen tubes and test tubes. Polystyrene or other high-impact plastic type containers are commonly used for specimen collection, especially urine. Hospitalized patients are likely to be receiving heparin, especially under critical care, which can delay clotting and blood collection too, even with activators, and lead to fibrin strands that can clog up aspiration probes on instrumentation. We can also observe class, no, in this example class, dito natin ma-observe class na meron palang mga sample class, no, na ginagamit sa hospital class na yung nag-undergone ng heparin, yung nag-undergone ng heparin, ano yan, um, yung yung heparin kasi class, ginagamit yun class para dili gud mag-clot ang mga dugo. Halimbawa na yung mga problem sa mga heart, okay, nag-undergone og heart transplant. So they have a heparin therapy. So dili mag-clot ang dugo nila, no, para dili mag-clot ang ilang dugo. So class, mapansin ninyo pag kuha sample, pila na lang kami tuto, isa na lang ka oras wa pa nag-clot ilang dugo kay nag-undergone din sila og heparin therapy. Yan. Okay? So class, the following presentations class, no, are just pictures. Okay, don't you worry class, no, dili ninyo ni ma-memorize dayon karon, but soon ma-familiarize lang na ninyo. Okay? So okay class, tapusin ko lang to class. After that class, no, malapit na talaga ako matapos class. Okay, malapit lang talaga ako matapos class. Next is our reporter. Sige class, after me class, no, mag-relax tayo or break tayo class. Bibigyan ko kayo class ng mga 20 to 30 minutes na. Sige. Gamay na lang yun class, no? Gamay na lang yun. Agwantara yun, okay? So, please familiarize this, this table. Okay? So, class, I have a reference class, no, sa DD. This is one of a manufacturer class na mostly ginagamit sa laboratory. DD. Okay? So, ito yung mga tubes nila class, no, na gold, na red, gray. O, diba? So, iba-iba ang ilang color. So, yung cover. So, class, hindi ko na to i-discuss isa-isa, ha? Dili na ako ni siya i-discuss isa-isa. Kaya nga naman, unsa ni kanang familiarize na lang na ninyo, ha? So, during a portion, this is the laboratory use inversion, no, na ay mga required inversion. Pag makuha mong dugo na amoy, ikapila ninyo sa tuyo po o i-inverse, okay? Ikapila niyo sa i-mix. Yan. Ito, may orange, may royal blue, may green. Ang gray, 8 times daw. Okay, yellow. Yan, daghan kayo, no? Hala, daghan na sir. Uy, mamemorize ba na mo? Please familiarize lang. Ang pinaka-common, lavender. O, na pink, na apoy puti. O, di ba? Yan, apoy blue. Na apoy ani. O, di ba? Ay, pero kadaghan. O, yun, ani class ha. So, ang most common question, sir, paunsa ba mag-inversion? Paunsa ba magbilang? Okay, paunsa ba mo bilang? Okay? So, class, pag magbilang mo, class, no? So, kana siya ha? 1. O, yan. Inana siya magbilang. O, 1. Diba? 1. Asa itong effects na to? Nawala. O, 1. O. Okay, cute kayo. Di mo kabalo mo effects. Good. Okay, ana ha? 1. Yan. 2. 3. O, inana siya. Okay, kung nakakay tube. Okay? Sige, inaana ang pagbilang. Ito class. This is the standard class, no? From TT. Yan. Pag blood culture or PSP is 8 to 10 times a mix. Pag citrated tube, 3 to 4 times. Pag yon mga with Vacutainer, yung may mga gel separator, at saka clot activator, 5 to 6 times. 5 times. Pag ating heparin, EDTA, and then itong ating gray, okay, yung fluoride, yan, 8 to 10 times. Okay, gawa na lang kayo ng table class no, para di mo malito. Hindi kayo malito. Okay, next. Utilize any built-in used needle protector if the blood collection device provides one. PD does not recommend reshielding used needles, but the policies and procedures of your facility may differ and must always be followed. Discard any blood collection sharps in biohazard containers approved for their disposals. Yan. Notes, always follow your facility's protocol for order of drugs. Handle all biological samples and blood collection sharps, lancets, needles, lure adapters, and blood collection sets according to the policies and procedures of your facility. Obtain appropriate medical attention in the event of any exposure to biologic sample. For example, through a puncture injury, since they may transmit viral hepatitis, HIV, AIDS, or other infectious disease. Okay, class? I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much, class, for listening. We are ready now for our next topic. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation for today's topic. Thank you so much, class, for listening. So is there any question? May question pa ba tayo, class? Sige, pakisulat naman dyan ng mga questions sa baba kung wala na. Kung wala ng question, class, pakisulat hashtag RMT ako. Yan, hashtag RMT ako. Okay? Sige. Reporters, ilang slides ba yung presentation ninyo, reporter? Kung walang question, pakisulat na lang dyan, class, sa ating comment section, hashtag RMT ako. Okay, sige. Reporters, ilang slides ba yung inyong presentation? Sige, class, may option ako sa inyong class. Okay? So, anong option ninyo, class? Tapusin natin yung reporting ngayon or next meeting na lang ang ating reporting. Sige daw. Pakisulat naman dyan sa ating comment section. Okay? Kasi may nag-PM sa akin, no? Private chat dito sa ating kuan. Na, sir, pwede ba next meeting na lang ang reporting? So, gusto kong maging fair naman din sa inyo. Okay? Gusto kong maging fair sa inyong lahat. Okay? Sige, class. Class, ano ba? Okay? Type 1 kung gusto nyong tapusin. Type 2 naman, class, kung gusto nyong next meeting na lang. Kasi upon may computation sa ating time next meeting, isa na lang yung topic natin. Kayang-kaya natin matatapos lahat. Okay? Sige. Type 1 kung next meeting. Type 2 kung tapusin ngayon. Okay? Sige. I want a, I want a, okay. Sige. Pag 1 tapos next meeting, pag 2 ngayon. Okay? So I think maraming 1. Okay? Meaning next meeting na lang. Sige, okay lang din sa akin, class, no? Okay lang din sa akin na next meeting. Okay, so para fair naman din sa mga classmate niyo kasi alam kong base na pod no nga kanang daghan mo buhat na pay 3. Ay nako, grabe. Dapat yung 3, no? Ay 3. Sige. Sige, maraming 1, maraming 2. Ano ba to? Maraming 3 ang 3 kay kuan 1 ang next meeting. Oo, 1 ang next meeting. Yan. 1 next meeting. Sige, balik ha. 1 next meeting. Mali ba akong iingon 1 ba? Okay, sige, balik ha ba. 1 next meeting. Okay lang next meeting. Baka napa mo yung mga adtuan, no? 2 ngayon. Sige. Yan. Final na ha. Sige. Plus, okay lang yun sa ako, class, kay next meeting, dali na lang man ang topic next meeting, review na lang siya, then ready for exam. 2DI. Hello, uy, unsa man, uy, una pa yung 4, unsa man. Ay, nako, 1 next. Sige. Sige, class, I want I want the favor. Okay, gusto ko yung mas marami. Okay, gusto ko yung mas maraming magkuan, sige, 2 daw, nagbalik na. Sige, hintayin mo na. Sige ha. I will be giving you, di ba 5:14 man tamaho, 5:15 man tamaho man, no? Sige. Ani na lang, class. Sige, para sa in behalf Okay, in behalf of your classmates class kasi maraming absent. Okay, in behalf of your classmates, okay, in behalf of your classmates class na walang mga kuryente ngayon, class I will be giving you at least mga 30 minutes break ha para magmerienda mo or sa pabana, okay? Sige, balik lang mo class mga 4:30. I-continue nato ang reporting. Okay? Math, unsa man ning math? Math to sir. Yan. Okay, sige. We'll just continue ha our discussion after break. Okay, break muna kayo class. Okay? Balik tayo by 3. Ay by 4 rather. 4:30. Sige. Sige, thank you so much. See you later on. Okay, sige. God bless you all. Bye-bye. Hello? Yan. Hello, class. Marinig nyo ako, class?
Yes,
Hello,
sir.
class. Marinig nyo ako? Okay. So, class, may nag-request, class, sa akin na pwede ba daw tapusin na lang daw para mas early daw tayo matapos. So, okay lang din sa akin, class. So, okay lang sa inyo, Zerain?
Yes, sir. Kasi 16 slides lang man din, sir.
Sige, sige. Kayo ang reporters, no, Zerain? Kayo ang reporters?
Sila Romar po.
Sige, sige. Pwede pasok na kayo, reporters, para matapos na natin to, no? Para early po ta makahuman. Sige, baka napay nakabunong uban. Okay, sige, thank you so much. Okay, so nasaan na yung mga reporters natin? Nandito na ba yung reporters? Nandito ba yung mga reporters natin? Dali lang ninyo, good Charo. Okay, sige. Send nyo yung copy ng ating presentation dito sa group. Sino yung reporters? Please say present. Isa kaning reporters, Doreen?
Sila Romar po.
Romar. Okay. Pakitawagi daw sila. Yan, Romar Chu. Chu, paki-send na ang presentation, Chu, para masugdan na nato ni sir. Ay, sir. Masugdan na nato ni, nabasa mo good comment. Oh, yes, sir. Sige, para masugdan nato. Dali alang good, 5 minutes, humana na ba? Oh, sige. Birahin na ninyo. Birahan na nato ang orimos. Oh, sugdan na. Sige na, Chu, isend na. Chu. Ari ang atong StreamYard nga link, Chu. Oh, sulod na ha, sulod. Sir, man ay si Roman. Wait lang ha. Birahin na, birahin. Yan. Init kayo, no? Init. Sige, Romar, please. Juan. Your camera, Romar, please.
Hello, sir.
Oh, yes. Oh, hello. Yan. Oh, sige, sugtin na, Romar. Oh, maklaro,
Sir,
malunggan.
ko mag-screen share kasi Gypsy
Okay.
ako ang mag-screen share.
Ang buhaton ni mo, Romar, ato ka sa screen share. Dali lang man na mahuman, Romar, no? Dali lang na mahuman, di ba? On cam dapat daw ang reporter. Daghan kayo nag-request. On cam daw. Grabe, yun. Sakyan si Romar. Mga luxury car. Wow. Iba talaga pag may mga luxury car. Charot. Okay, Gypsy. Ano wala may mga camera ang mga reporter? Asa man mga camera ninyo? Ha? Ha? Hello?
Wait lang, sir. Tawagan siya na ko si Eve.
Sige na, paspasin na ninyo. Yan. Okay. Naana si Romar. Ayun yung request. Naana.
Uy, gizong pa dito.
Managhan jud ang view, sir, pag nagka-on ang on cam. Gani. Sige na, ikuan na sa Hoy, Romar, asa naman nga nang wala naman? Yan. Sabi ni Red One, managhan ang view, sir, pag naka-on cam ang reporter. Nanaghan. Hala na, abot na tag 3 million. Mega shout out to our 30 million viewers ngayon. Mega shout out sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat sa pagtangkilik sa aming live streaming ngayon. Yan, very good. Ang galing-galing nila, Romar. Naging 30 million viewers na tayo. Gypsy, paki-turn on yung inyong camera. Yan, si Clean, isa pa lang reporter natin ngayon. Okay, Clean, please turn on your camera. Okay? Sige, pa-picture muna ang mga reporters, ha? Picture muna ang ating mga reporters. Yan. Okay, sige. Yun ang ating mga magaganda at mga gwapong reporters. Ito, class. Start na tayo, class. Start na tayo. Sige. Yan.
Okay.
Sige. Okay na, okay na. Sige.
So, good afternoon, classmate. Good afternoon, sir. We're going to report about the basic facts about refractometer. So, our report consists of, next slide. See, and
Wait lang po, saan ni Manek?
next.
Next na?
Yan. Principle uses light source, method, interference, and standard.
Please turn on your
So,
camera,
first
please.
is so first is the definition reported by Lynn.
So the definition of refractometer is it is the method of measuring substance refractive index, for example, assess their composition or purity. This is also the best known for measuring liquids for quick evaluation of concentration of dissolved substances. It is the instrument used to measure refractive index. So a refractometer is a simple instrument used for measuring concentrations of aqueous solutions. It requires only a few drops of liquid. Next. So the principle is it is the measurement of so di ba na yun kanina, it is a measurement of refractive index of a known substance by measuring angle of refraction made when the substance is brought into contact with the medium of a known refractive index. Next. Refractometers are the instrument to measure substances dissolved in water and certain areas. The refractometer works using the principle of light. Refraction through liquids as light passes from air into liquid, it slows down. This phenomenon is what gives a bent look to objects that are partially submerged in water. Next.
See.
Next.
Wala si Eve. Wala pa siya nakasulod.
Okay.
So
Go,
types
Jit.
types of refractometer: the abyss refractometer, immersion or dipping refractometer, then full fridge refractometer. The abyss refractometer was the first laboratory instrument for the precise determination of the refractive index of liquid. The measuring principle of an abyss refractometer is based on
At nagtawag si Crash. Nagtawag si Crash.
ayun tawag ka report na kagay.
Sugtin na ha. Sugtin ko man na.
Oo, kasi yun na. Tapos, the abyss refractometer is, it can be measured both refractive index of liquids and solids. In both cases, refractive index of substance must be lower than refractive index of glass used to made measuring prism. So also the abyss refractometer can give accuracy of about 1 to 2 units in 4 decimal places. The immersion or dipping refractometer, it consists of telescope with a scale and micrometer screw, a prism that can be dipped into a liquid, and a compensator located between the prism and the objective lens. So ang immersion and dipping refractometer is Abi type refractometer siya pero wala siya illuminating prism. Then, it is designed to allow quick measurement of refractive index of liquid directly in a vat without a need of taking samples. It is also the simplest design kay i-immerse lang nimo siya partially sa solution then magkaroon dayon og measurement. Then, the full-pitch refractometer, the second design after the Abyss refractometer that became commercially available in 19th century. It is the other type of critical angle refractometer. So, ginagamit din yan siya to measure refractive index of solids and liquids gihapon. And it has a two-phase perfectly plane. Na,
Ano tayo kasi?
uy, wait lang. Pagsulod na si Eve, wait lang. Sir, magsulod daw si Eve.
Siya, nakasunod na si Eve. Nakasunod na siya. Yan.
So the uses or the purpose of refractometer. So first, help to identify or confirm the identity of sample. So so the perfect example is when we examine the urine and water. So magkaiba yung SG nila, di ba? Using the refractometer, matas natin yung specific gravity. So usually, according sa Google, ang SG ng urine is 1.002 and 1.030, while water has 1.00. So next is assess the purity and
Ay, joke.
concentration. Wala pa. And
Sorry, sorry.
concentration of the sample. So by comparing its refractive index to the value for the pure substance. Third, used to measure the total plasma protein in a blood sample and urine specific gravity. So, kagaya nga yung sinabi ko kanina, yun, parang same lang sila. Fourth, help to identify gem material. So, ang specific gadget or tools na ginagamit nila is gemological refractometer. It is a primary and most powerful tool in gemstone identification.
Nakasulod na.
And lastly, used to identify the amount
Useless pa
of
lang.
sugar in sugar solution. So when the light passes through a sample containing dissolved solid, such as sugar, it is interrupted, slowed down, and is then for refracted. Next, Jeep. So light source. Yes, nagagamit siya ng light source. A refractometer consists of a light source which filtered to a single wavelength directed by converging lens to the prism sample interference. This produces a number of angles of incidence, some of which will be fully reflected. So in other words, the refractive index of a substance is dependent on the wavelength of the light and temperature of the substance. Next.
So, method. Refractometry is the analytical tool for calculating the refractive index of substance. So, for example, to determine their composition or purity. So, ang method sa refractometer is to measure the extent light refraction as part of refractive index. So, refractive index is defined as the ratio of the speed of light in a vacuum to that in a given medium. So, next po. Interference, the temperature-dependent refractive index of the medium relative to the standard
air that is at 20 degrees Celsius, the temperature-dependent refractive index of the medium relative to air of the same temperature. So, the interference refractometer uh, temperature has a very important influence on the refractive index measurement. Therefore, the temperature of the prism and the temperature of the sample have to be controlled with high precision. Next, please. So standard use, refractometer standard use is type 2 water purified water used in general lab in things like media preparation or buffer creation. And that's all.
Yun. So, tapos na. Ang galing-galing ng mga reporters natin. Palakpakan naman natin sila, no? Palakpakan naman natin sila. Okay, palakpak kayo dyan. Sige, galing-galing. Oh, yan. Nag-prepare daw si Gypsy. Okay, so class, may mga questions ba, class? May mga questions? Okay, sige. Next time na lang kasi may nag-private chat sa akin na, sir, may puntahan pa kami, sir. O, sige. Di lang ako ingat kung kinsa. Sige.
Si Sir Tas
Pa-zoom kami kay Romar po. Ay, Romar, okay na daw. Pag-zoom na daw. Yan. Okay. So, yan yung mga request niyo, class, ha? Yan na, class. Palakpakan talaga natin yung itong mga classmate. Okay, class? Kung wala na tayong question, I think, class, lahat ng mga na-report ng inyong classmates, nandoon na sa wala na akong ma-add pa. Okay? So, next meeting, class, we will have a review, ha? Next meeting, we will have a review for our topic. And of course, class, malapit na talaga ang ating exam. Yan, sige. Kung wala ng question, class, pakisulat naman sa ating comment section, #RMP ako 2022. Yan, very good. Ang galing-galing nila. Sige. Ang galing-galing nila. Okay, so I think Romar, no? I think Romar and classmates and groups, wala nang mga questions ang inyong mga classmates. Sige. Baka gustong magpa-picture, no? Magpa-picture muna daw ang mga reporters. Sige, magpa-picture muna ang mga reporters, ha? Okay, so ialis muna natin dito si Zuray. Okay, kasi hindi siya kasali. Okay. Okay. Saan si Clean? Saan si Clean February? Bakit nawala? Ay, na-disconnect si Clean. Oh, Clean, pasok ka muna kasi magpa-picture muna daw ang mga artista. Okay? Sige.
Sorry. Saan siya?
Sana all kumakain. Share naman dyan, Clean. No? Share muna dyan. Okay, sige. Thank you so much. Okay, I think wala nang mga questions. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat, sa inyong pakikinig, at sa inyong mga participation. Okay, so that's the end of our presentation for today. Thank you so much and see you next meeting. Bye-bye. God bless you all.